All right, so let's write the first four terms of the sequence whose nth term is a sub n equals 20 over n plus 1 factorial.
Awesome.
All right, so let's do our first term. What is n?
1.
All right, so let's plug that in. Okay, so on top we just have a 20. Over on bottom, what's 1 plus 1?
2. Count them.
So we got 2 factorial. So then we got 20 over. Remember the factorial means start at that integer and multiply it times every number down to 1. Well, it's only 2 factorial, so it's going to be 2 times 1. Multiply what's on bottom. 2 times 1 is 2, and then divide. What's 20 divided by 2? 10. Second term, what is my n going to be?
2.
So we get 20 over parenthesis 2 plus 1, close it, factorial. Work what's in the parenthesis. What's 2 plus 1?
3.
So we got over 3 factorial. So we get 20 over, what does 3 factorial mean written out?
3 times 2 times 1.
Good, start at 3 and go down. So 3 times 2 times 1. So you get 20 over, what's 3 times 2?
6.
Times 1.
6.
So 20 over 6. Does that divide evenly?
Yes.
No, it doesn't. So reduce your fraction.
Divided by 2.
So they both divide by 2, so we get 10 over 3. Guys, you have to reduce your fraction, whether you reduce it by hand like we did, or if you use those calculators to reduce it. You always reduce a fraction. What 2? Because the factorial, remember, means you take the number in front of the factorial and you multiply by every integer below it. So if it's a 3 factorial, you're going to multiply it times 2 times 1. If it's 10 factorial, you'd multiply 10 times the 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can't wait to get to those, huh?
Yes. I'm just going to get to the next thing with the weird looking.
All right. So a sub 3. What is my n for my third term?
3.
All right. So 20 over 3 plus 1 factorial. So then, what is 3 plus 1?
4.
All right. So I added, what was the parentheses? Now I need to write out that 4 factorial, which is
4 times 3 times 2 times 1.
Good call, guys. Good call.
all right. 4 times 3 is 12, times 2 is 24, times 1 is 24. And then, doesn't divide evenly, but we have to reduce it.
Reduce it by 4.
Okay, reduce by 4, so that's what, 5 over...
It is 6.
Good. If you're not sure they're both even, do it by 2, and then you say, oh, they're still both even, so do it by another 2. And then my fourth term. What is my n for the fourth term?
4.
Your n is 4.
Plus 1 is 5.
Okay, so good. So plus that 1 then is 5 factorial on bottom. How would I write out 5 factorial?
5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Or you could just skip the 1 altogether.
Right. All right, so we got 20 over. What's 5 times 4?
20. 100.
Times 3?
60. 120.
Times 2?
Hold your horses here.
Times 1?
120.
So we end up with 120 on bottom.
So it's going to be 106.
Now listen, you know if there's zeros on top and bottom like that, they will reduce, right? So it's really like 2 over 12, which reduces to
1 over 6.
1 over 6.
Good job, buddy.
All right, so we found our first 4 terms. Tell me, what are they again?
10 over 3, 4, 6, 1 over 6.
All right, I want to talk about these for just a minute before we move on. Let's look at our factorial pieces, guys. I want to show you something that might help you. All right, so notice on the first one, the 2 factorial gave us 2, right? But then, we always group things going from left to right. But what if on the next one there, let me erase in my little grouping. Notice, this is what we had right there, isn't it?
Yes.
You already told me it was a 2, so all I had to do was multiply it by the 3, correct?
Yes.
And we got 6. Now, look, isn't this what we just had right there?
Yes.
So it was that number times 4 then, which gave us,
24.
and then this right here was what we had up here. So 24 times 5 is the 120, okay? So you don't have to go through and do all the little multiplication again if you're doing them in order like this. There's that pattern there. If we're looking for like the first 4 terms or the first 10 terms. Now, if it just comes out of the blue and it says it's 5 factorial, there's no shortcut on that, okay? But if you're doing terms in a row, just remember that bottom, like on this one, look and see what the previous one was.